It's nice to see you back doing this kind of a tour. We see a lot of people who are embracing their past and playing full albums front to back these days.
Yeah.
Why did you pick the Radis album?
Well, I was sitting in New York, in a New York diner about a year ago with my UK record label boss, and he having breakfast, and he said, "How many songs of Radis Norvegicus are you playing? Can you play?" And I suddenly realised I was doing all but 3 of them.
Oh,
so,
it's part of your solo set.
Yeah, well, just bit. Sometimes I do Peaches, sometimes I do Hanging Around. So just selecting Down in the Sewer, not all at the same time, but they were all possibilities to be played. And I suddenly realised there were only 3 left that I hadn't ever visited, and that was because John Burnell, the bass player, used to sing them. And part of the stuff since I've left the band has been just to sing the songs that I always used to sing. It never occurred to me to sing stuff that he'd sung.
That JJ did.
Yeah, yeah. So our eyes, met over the breakfast table, and the same idea clicked to us. Well, if a few days rehearsal, and I could actually do the whole of Radis Norvegicus. So that's how it came about.
How did you get Clem Burke involved?
Well, Clem and I have been on-off friends for years, in the sense that our paths have always crossed, and whenever I come to North America, he always tries to come and see a show. I either see him in LA or in New York, and he's always been really, really nice and friendly, and he has become very close with a bass player of mine who I've actually been working with longer than with John Burnell. 19 years now, I suddenly realised this year.
Well, yeah.
So I was in the Stranglers for 17 years, and I've been working on and off with Steve Fishman for 19 years. Yeah, 91, yeah.
Wow.
So, and Steve now lives in LA, and him and Clem have become friends. So when I offered Steve the gig of doing the US tour, he said, well, why don't Clem's in town? I think he might be free. Let's see if he wants to do it. So I said, yeah, let's see. And he was free. So
it's just a trio doing the Strangler stuff?
Yeah, but also my solo stuff
as well,
because there's 2 sets.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's, you've got, I guess, what, 8 solo records?
It's about 8, getting on for 10, I think, maybe now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how difficult has it been to leave the Stranglers' legacy behind and get people to focus on the new material?
Well, I mean, it must be the same for like Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground and people. It must be the same sort of thing. It's part of your past which you're trying to escape from, but at the same time, it's part of your signature. So it's what people expect of you. So you've got that situation all the time. So I'm very happy to play old Stranglers songs, but I don't want to play them the way they were originally played, and that's why I don't carry keyboards when I go on the road.
Oh, okay.
So important keyboard parts.
Oh, like Get a Grip on Yourself and...
Yeah, are either played on the bass, or I incorporate them into a guitar part, or in fact, in the case of Duchess, we sing the keyboard parts.
Because when you look at the lineup, okay, 3 guys.
Yeah.
How's that going to work?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the arrangements are different.
What's fascinating about some of this old Stranglers material is how bloody timeless it is. I mean, a song like Peaches.
Yeah.
You can put that in a movie soundtrack or play it on the
As
radio.
in Sexy Beast.
Sexy. That's
Yeah.
we were watching that. We rented Sexy Beast, and we're sitting at home on a Saturday night. My wife is here watching, and she sees the opening credits, and the song comes on, and she goes, "What is this song?" I says, "It's Peaches by the Stranglers." She goes, "This is really good. Is it new?" I go, "Not really, honey. It's a bit old."
Well, that was about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and imagine me, I was sitting in a movie theatre watching that, and no one had told me that it was on it.
You're kidding.
Yeah, I was sitting there with my girlfriend at the time, and I almost fell off my chair, and she said, "You never told me that this was..." I said, "No one told me."
That's a fabulous opening sequence.
Yeah.
And it's a great move. I look when the boulder comes down
Yeah, he's edited it to the song, I think. Yeah.
And then, there are other songs. Well, I was listening to Nice and Nice the other day, and that's just one of the happiest songs ever. Same thing with Always the Sun. And there's a couple of other songs from Oral Sculptures that I really like a lot.
Right.
And these are the songs that you're obviously, bringing out again to play with Clement John, is it?
Yeah, Clement Steve.
Steve.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the solo records. So the most current record is Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
The Stranglers, what, 74?
74 to 90 up with me.
With
yeah.
you. How have you evolved as a musician in these last 19 years? I mean, the Stranglers were heavy and kind of angry and occasionally violent.
Yeah.
What was your, first of all, why leave the Stranglers to do this?
Yeah. Well, the Stranglers had a very, and still have a very strong brand. And the thing about a brand or a group identity is that you are part of a combination of people's personalities, which creates that brand and that profile. Mm-hmm. And I was just starting to feel very uncomfortable with the profile that the band was, and that feeling that it wasn't totally expressing who I was anymore.
Mm. Well, after 17 years,
yeah.
That's a natural thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, how many punk bands stayed together that long anyway?
Yeah, yeah. And I also thought, well, in my 50s, I don't want to be playing these same songs in my 50s. I don't mind playing some of them, but I want to be doing other stuff as well. I don't want to be stuck with this catalogue. And so I started making solo records and left the band to make solo records. And although I'm visiting the old stuff, I do about 50-50 of new stuff and an old catalogue. And the Stranglers are still going out playing 90% of this old catalogue, which is just what I didn't want to do.
Yeah, the last Stranglers record I bought was, I guess, Norfolk Coast.
Oh, right. Well, that got very good reviews.
It did. And
yeah,
it was actually a very good record, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
For people who aren't familiar with the solo material, what songs should they listen for? What songs should they explore?
Well,
your greatest hits as a solo artist.
Well, I mean, one song that every lineup I have always loves playing is Black Hair, Black Eyes, Black Suit from the album Guilty, and that always goes down really well live. People think it's a Stranglers song. And off the new record, Hoover Dam, there's a lot of songs off that which I'm really proud of, and I love playing. Beat of My Heart, Going to the City. Yeah, there's so many. I mean, if I actually put my mind to it, I could probably play for 4 or 5 hours on stage,
Well, with 8 or 10 solo records, and how many Stranglers
and
albums?
10 Stranglers studio albums. There's 20 albums to pick from. But probably need a few breaks.
Sure.
People get bored, go home before the end.
Are you, where are you living now?
I'm spending most of my time in the UK, but I spend a lot of time in Spain and more time in America.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, because I'm coming more regularly to tour. And North America, I mean, Canada and the US. I'm touring every 6 months now. I come back and do the West Coast in the spring and the East Coast in the fall. And I always seem to end up in Chicago.
In the winter?
Well, but yeah.
It's nice to be able to continue to do this for a living after many people from that era.
Absolutely.
Are gone.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I feel very fortunate that the sun has shined on me, and I'm a pretty good health, and I'm still performing well, I think. The reports are so. So I'm happy to continue as long as, but I couldn't keep doing the same. I've got to have new stuff, and I'm already putting together a new album, which I will record next year.
You got a title yet?
Yeah, it's called Totem and Taboo.
Okay. And that'll be out when?
Well, tail end of 11 or maybe the beginning of 2012.
And who's the label?
I'm not sure who's gonna do it yet.
It's interesting because I think that, and I've said this to many people in the past, nobody loves music more than the English. And the English revere music in ways that I don't think I see anywhere else in the world.
What, not even in North America? I always think that North America is the home of modern music.
Well, it is the home, maybe the home of modern music, but I think that the passion is probably highest as an outsider going into the UK. I feel it more whenever I go to London. And you have the small labels that will do reissues. You have the small labels that will do vinyl only. You have labels in the UK that do cassettes only these days. Your music writing with Q and Mojo and Record Collector.
That's
and
true.
Kerrang. I mean, we don't have anything like that. And then, you know, the BBC, for all its faults, still has something like Six Music,
Yeah.
which is something that, you know, that has a national reach that doesn't, that you know, in North America we don't have.
I've heard that's being closed down there.
They apparently have saved it.
They have.
That's the
fantastic.
That's the rumor.
That's happened very recently.
It has,
Yeah.
because when I heard about it, I mean, I was actually I was in London when the announcement came out, and I was just staying down from the studios on Portland Street, and I was just like, oh no, what can I do? Can I drop a few quid in a jar someplace just to keep them alive?
Yeah.
But it's fascinating that because I think that provides an infrastructure.
Yeah, for the size of population, it's a very large journalistic world, music journalism.
And it keeps interest alive for people to have longer careers.
Yeah.
I think in North America, in many cases, we have ADD, and you know, once something is 2 or 3 years old, we move on. But in Britain, there seems to be second, third, fourth, fifth acts to many careers. Which is cool. Well, I'm glad to finally meet you face to face like this. I think I was telling you, the first time I ever introduced a band on stage in Toronto was the Stranglers in March of '87 for the Dreamtime tour. And I remember being scared to death because I thought JJ was going to take a bass to my head or something. I don't know. I just heard all the stories. But it was very cool to be able to meet you.
Excellent.
Well, thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Explore Music wears English Laundry apparel.